Right, grade 4s. We are going to be looking at the first section of your study for the 6th June exams, and it's NST, features of living and non-living things. And your teachers taught you a little trick to remember the 7 life processes, and that's to remember all about Mrs. Gren. So let's just recap. What's Mrs. Gren all about? Well, first of all, we need to know that there are 7 things that all living things have in common. They're called life processes. And basically, if something can't do one of these 7, it's not living. The first life process, all living things move. Now, for each process, I'm going to give you an example of how a tree does it and how we do it as humans. But you don't need to know that for the exams. You just need to know the 7 processes. What I'm telling you now is just to help you get a picture in your mind, to maybe help it to stick in your memory. So, for instance, with movement, we get up and we walk around. A tree can't get up and walk around, but if you looked under a microscope, you would see that there would be the cells. There's movement within the cells. Under a microscope, you could be able to see movement inside of a tree. The second life process is that all living things reproduce. So you and I, well, humans have babies, cats have kittens, and so on. And trees, if you plant their seeds, will grow another tree. That's to reproduce. The third life process, all living things are sensitive. We feel pain. Now, a tree won't go ouch when it hurts itself, but it does feel the pain. It will grow away from something that is hurting it. So if there's a parasite that is feeding on it, that area will die off. All living things grow. This is the 4th life process. You and I get bigger, and trees obviously also get bigger. They grow taller. All living things respire. Now that's quite a tricky word. Respire means to breathe. So all living things can breathe. You and I obviously take oxygen in. And trees, although they don't look like they're breathing, they take carbon dioxide in and they give off oxygen. So they're also breathing in and out. All living things excrete. That basically means we go to the toilet and get rid of any waste product that our body doesn't need. And trees can't go to the toilet, but they get rid of waste product they don't need. Now, lucky for us, that's oxygen. They take in our carbon dioxide and they give off oxygen. That's what they get rid of, what they excrete. And the last life process is all living things need nutrition. Basically means we need to eat. We need to take in something to give us energy. All right, now trees, for their nutrition, there are nutrients in the soil that they take in, and they also obviously need to take in water, but they get their nutrients through the soil, through their roots. So those are the 7 life processes: movement, reproduction, sensitive, growth, respiration, excretion, and nutrition. And if you have a look, the first letter of each of those 7 words spells out Mrs. Gren. So there we are on the screen. You can see there's Mrs. Gren. Do you remember, without looking back, what Mrs. Gren stands for? If you do, you should do well in your exam. Remember, your teacher could ask you to list the 7 processes. They could say, when you learnt about Mrs. Gren, what does the G stand for? But they could also just say, name 3 life processes of all living things. So you need to remember that term, life processes. Good luck for the rest of your studying.